In this lesson, we're going to work on translating phrases into mathematical expressions and some sentences into mathematical equations. You've done the phrase into expression task before. This chart should look somewhat familiar, and let me remind you that we translate exactly as we read with just a few exceptions, and I've highlighted a few of those exceptions. The subtract from and the less than are what I refer to as reversing phrases. You're also going to be translating sentences into equations, and something that's very important is when you write an equation, you have a left side and you have a right side, and there's an equal sign between them. What indicates an equal sign? Well, here are some of the key phrases. Verbs: equals, gives, is, was, yields, amounts to, is equal to. Those are just some of the words that you'll see that tell you it's time to write an equal sign. Okay, let's practice doing some translations. We'll start out with expressions. These are not sentences. These are just phrases. All right, number one. The sum of, sum means what? To add. The sum of, I'll put my plus sign, -1 and a mystery number, which is x. That's what I would write down as the expression. The next one, 17 subtracted from a number. Okay, reversing phrase. It's going to be the mystery number minus 17. Number 3, the product of -12 and a number. Product means multiply. -12 times a mystery number. This would be written as -12x, because when we multiply a coefficient times a variable, we don't use the multiplication dot. It's implied. Next one, a number divided by -8. Now there's a couple of ways you could write this. A mystery number x divided by -8. The author of your book would put the -8 in parentheses because the two symbols should not get too close to each other. But if you wanted to, you could write it as x divided by -8 that way, with or without the parentheses. If you were writing it on a piece of paper, it could be x over -8, but that's a little more challenging in my math lab. All right, the last one of the expressions, the product of, okay, when it says product, I'm ready to multiply, -12, put that in first, and a number, that'll go in second. Then it says increased by 5, so plus 5. How would I write that? -12x plus 5. So that should all look like review from a much earlier activity. Now we're going to translate equations. Remember that the verb is where the equal sign will go. So I will highlight the verb. The sum of -36 and 10 is -26. So when I get to is, that's where I'm going to put an equal sign. There's no mystery number in these first translations. So the sum of, all right, sum of, I'm going to be adding. The sum of -36 and 10, there's my is, -26. These are just true statements. They're not anything we would even try to solve. There's no unknown. Next one. The product of -4 and -27 gives 108. The verb gives. That's going to be my equal sign. So product of, I'm going to multiply. -4 and -27 gives 108. This would be acceptable. You could use parentheses around these two numbers instead. There really are quite a few ways you could write it. Number 8. 3 times the difference of -17 and 9 amounts to -78. Well, this amounts to That's going to be my equal. All right, now it says 3 times a difference. Now, a difference is subtraction, so I'm going to write down the format of a subtraction. 3 times the difference of negative 17 and 9 amounts to negative 78. Now, there's something missing in my expression on the left-hand side. The way I've written it with 3 times, if I want the 3 to be multiplied by the entire difference, right now it's only multiplied by the negative 17. So I would have to put the difference in parentheses. And this is something you're really going to want to tune into. Anytime you have a number times a difference, then that difference is going to have parentheses around it. Okay, we'll see that over and over. Same thing is true if it said the word sum. All right, next translation. Quotient of negative 52 and twice 13 is equal to negative 2. All right, there's my verb, so that's going to be my equal sign. The quotient of, okay, quotient. The quotient of negative 52, whatever you see first, you write first, and twice 13 is equal to negative 2. Now, you're going to have to be careful when you do this, because this could miscommunicate something. Because the way it's written, if it's all horizontal, it will be negative 52 divided by 2, and then you would multiply that quotient by 13, and that's not what we want. So, since that could be confusing, I want to rewrite it. I could write it as negative 52 over 2 times 13. Now, that's not confusing, is equal to negative 2. Otherwise, the only way to make sure is this denominator, I could put it into parentheses 2 times 13, because you want it to be divided completely by 2 times 13. So you want to be careful on that. Number 10. These are multiple choice. You're still going to need to do the translation, but the right answer is sitting there for you to pick. All right. A number added to negative 8 is negative 9. A number, x, added to negative 8 is negative 9. I have ignored the answer choices while I was translating, and now I'm going to look at them. And there's not one that's identical to what I have. There are 2 that are addition. I know that this isn't right, and I know that this isn't right. This one has got the 8 and the negative 8 and the negative 9 in the wrong spots. This is your right answer. Doesn't quite look like mine. It is called the commutative property of addition that says a number plus negative 8 is the same as negative 8 plus a number. So this honestly is the translation I would use, but the author has used this one. They are equivalent. Number 11. Translate 6 times a number yields 28. Equal sign. 6 times a mystery number yields 28. And it looks like it's right there. The multiplication dot is gone. Number 12. It's not multiple choice. This one says a number subtracted from negative 38 amounts to 194. Okay, a number subtracted from negative 38. Reversing phrase, negative 38 minus the number amounts to 194. So we have to keep, we have to keep remembering that. All right, 13. 3 times a number gives 106. 3 times a number is 3x, gives 106. And that looks like choice D. And this is our last translation. The product of 5 and the sum of negative 6 in a number is negative 40. All right, I can always get that. All right, the left-hand side, the product of. Product means multiply. The product of 5 and the sum of. You're going to multiply 5 times the sum of -6 and a mystery number is -40. I hope that you are sitting there thinking, oh, she's forgotten something. This is 5 times a sum. The only way the 5 can get multiplied by the entire sum is for there to be parentheses, so distributive property would be used. So this is just like we had an earlier problem where it was a number times a difference. So let's see, I think that is choice C. So a little bit of practice or review and translating expressions, and then translating equations maybe for the first time with a special keyword where you put your equal sign. You have an expression on the left, equal sign, expression on the right. So we'll be using these in the next 2 lessons.